Hey friends, I'm Sharon Betters, and you are listening to the Daily Treasure Podcast, and this is our last devotional in our series, The Steadfast Woman in a Shifting World. I am so grateful, as I've tried to express, for Tammy Maltby as one of our guest writers for this series. She has definitely brought a rich story of God's faithfulness and the promise that He sees us into our presence, and I hope that if you missed it, you'll go back and listen. Our last devotional is called God Alone, and today's treasure is from Psalm 62, verses 1 and 2. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From Him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken. The first devotional in this series, A Steadfast Woman in a Shifting World, was introduced with the following words from Psalm 62, verses 1 through 2. Which we just read. Though the earth moves beneath His feet, David declares that he shall not be greatly shaken. God alone is David's rock, rest, rescue, and refuge. And I continued on in that first devotional. In our new devotional series, A Steady Woman in a Shifting World, we'll take a look at Psalm 62, as well as review some practical disciplines that help us stay steady when our world shifts beneath our feet. There are treasures in this psalm that helped me walk a steady path when the earth shifted beneath my feet, and I'm eager to share them with you. King David has mentored us on how to walk a steady path when the earth shifts beneath our feet. What could be worse for a parent than for a beloved son to plot a takeover of the throne and murder his father? Those who know deep grief resonate with the description of David's gut-wrenching reaction to his beloved son's death, 2 Samuel 19:4. The king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, "Oh, my son, Absalom! Oh, Absalom, my son, my son!" The more we learned about David's life, the more we realized the credibility of his message that we read in Psalm 62, verses 5 through 8. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from Him. He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. On God rests my salvation and my glory. My mighty rock, my refuge is God. Trust in Him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us. As we end this series, listen to the encouragement from Psalm 62. Can you hear the pathos, the ethos in David's words? I picture David standing before a large or small gathering of people desperate for hope. Joyful tears stream down David's cheeks because he has experienced God as his rock, rest, rescue, and refuge, and he longs for others to experience the same comfort and strength. During a recent conversation with Lindsay for a Marking Help and Hope resource, she struggled to speak without tears. Her voice broke several times, and then she said, "These are not tears of sadness. They are tears of joy and wonder that God rescued me from a life of drugs, loneliness, and thievery. I don't know how to express my gratitude. He used prison to turn my heart toward Jesus. What others might think was a nightmare, prison, was actually a gift from Him. My tears are tears of joy because of Jesus." And friends, this is how I interpret David's response to the shattering betrayal and death of his son Absalom. Did he wish that Absalom lived differently? Of course. But in the dark pit of betrayal, God was there, and He met David's need. When the earth shifted beneath David's feet, God saw, and David learned to trust Him as his rock, rest, rescue, and refuge. These past 2 weeks, Tammy Maltby has shared how the Lord is teaching her to walk toward restoration when the earth shifts beneath her feet. While waiting in silence before the Lord, she has learned to also wait on Him as a surrendered and beloved servant. She encourages us to make intentional choices that help us move forward, but also prepare the soil of our hearts for those profound moments when God does something we never expected. It's my prayer that David's story and Tammy's story will encourage each of us to be silent before the Lord as we wait on Him in obedience. May our lives and hearts be surrendered to the magnificent and supernatural love of what Jesus has for each of his children. Friend, do you know him? Have you reacted to those hard places by hardening your heart against his love, believing he is nowhere to be found, that he's forgotten you? Today, right now, ask Jesus to soften your heart. Just the fact that you are listening to this devotional is evidence that your heart is softer than you may think. If you don't know where to begin in a quest to experience what it means to wait in confident expectation before the Lord, start with reading the book of John in the Bible. Read through the book in one sitting, and then read a portion each day after asking the Lord to reveal to you the heart of his son Jesus. Walk along the dusty roads of Galilee and watch Jesus interact with the people. See his love and compassion. You are watching the very heart of God in action through his Son. It's our prayer that you will pursue a renewed intimacy with Jesus as you wait in silence before our God, who is our rock, rest, rescue, and refuge. And oh, Father, I hope that our listeners can hear the passion that we have for them to know Jesus and to love Jesus. And I pray that these devotionals are helping to soften hearts that may be hardened to treasures that you are ready for them to experience. Thank you, Father, for those who have taken the time to listen, and I pray that they will share the good news of Jesus, no matter what today brings. Friends, thanks so much for joining us for the Daily Treasure podcast. We are so encouraged when we hear you share with us how God is using this podcast to help turn your heart toward Jesus. And we hope that you are also checking out our other resources, including the Help and Hope podcast. Did you know that on average, according to the National Statistics Domestic Violence website, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States? During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. About 2 in 4 women have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. This includes a range of behaviors like slapping, shoving, and pushing, and in some cases might not even be considered domestic violence. These statistics do not include abuse of men, and many more people do not even report abuse. If these stats are true, it's likely 1 in 4 women sitting in our church pews have experienced severe physical violence. That is so hard to accept. Sadly, the place where wounded women should feel safest, the church, is the one place they are too ashamed to be transparent. That is so heartbreaking when I hear that. In this informative but at times disturbing interview, Darby Strickland draws from years of not only studying the impact of abuse, but her interaction through counseling abused women. Darby is passionate about equipping local churches to be a safe place for the abused. And in fact, to go deeper into this topic, you can read her newest book, Is It Abuse? A Biblical Guide to Identifying Domestic Abuse and Helping Victims. This is a hard topic, I know, and it might really be triggering for some of you who are listening right now, but I hope that you will listen to my conversation with Darby. You can go to helpandhopenow.org, that's helpandhopenow.org, and look for Darby Strickland, Abuse in the Church. I know that God is going to use this to help turn hearts toward Jesus as we learn ways to come alongside of women who are struggling with abuse. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to being with you tomorrow.